From WRAL News, this is Focal Point.
You love our burgers.
Bacon Breakfast Bistro Sandwich, only at Sonic.
The jalapeno thick burger.
3 medium Pizza Hut pizzas.
All this flavor for only $1.99.
Everything's gotten bigger and bigger, and it's not just fast food.
We're bigger too.
If you want to look good, you got to lose the weight.
Too many of us in North Carolina look like this.
It's actually pretty alarming.
And it's no secret why.
People eat more calories than they expend.
It's easy to avoid activity.
We've sort of engineered a lot of activity out of our lives.
And it's easy to eat too much.
If you go to McDonald's, get, like #1 combo or whatever. You go anywhere, get the combo with a milkshake, with the soda, fries, yeah.
Meals like that may be cheap, but there's another price to pay.
I'm tired of being the heaviest person in the room.
Not to mention the risk for high blood pressure, diabetes, and heart disease.
For the first time since recorded time, our lifespan is now starting to decrease instead of increase because of obesity.
What should we do about our overweight state? While you watch this program, you may be sitting down to dinner or maybe even a snack. And there's nothing wrong with that, except that too many of us do too much sitting and too much eating. The result, nearly 2/3 of North Carolinians are overweight or obese. In fact, to put it bluntly, North Carolina is the 14th fattest state in the country. So over the next half hour, we hope to show you why, what it costs all of us, and what we can do about it. And just for fun, I'm walking while you're watching to make a point at the end of the program.
Come on.
Doug and Sarah Erickson are like most of us. They were thinner and more active in their 20s.
But, life kicks in. You have a family, you have a job.
There was less time to cook at home.
Well, we don't have time for that. Let's go eat out. Let's grab something through the drive-thru.
And then there were the between-meal snacks.
Very heavily buttered popcorn, chips, nuts, sometimes cookies.
There's 4 quarters of football. That's time for 4 different things to eat. So.
And sitting with the bag and eating it, not putting a portion in a bowl and eating it that way.
At work, the Ericksons sit all day at computers, and they gave up biking and racquetball years ago.
I was noticing the weight gain, and then in the 30s, I just, it ballooned.
It's not impossible, but it's difficult to get comfortable in an airline seat. I can barely snap the seatbelt, and movie seats sometimes aren't comfortable, and things like that. I'm tired of having the weight sort of control what I do in my life. There's another car coming.
The Ericksons have plenty of company. A recent study shows that nearly 63% of adults in North Carolina are overweight, and nearly 26% of them are obese.
The reason scientifically that it occurs is that people eat more calories than they expend in activity. So it's really a very simple scientific explanation.
While genetics may predispose someone to obesity, it doesn't guarantee it.
I could put you in a hospital ward and not feed you much other than some water and vitamins, and you'll lose weight, no matter what your genetics are.
Being overweight increases the risk of cardiovascular disease, diabetes, and other health problems.
Just about every one of these health consequences can be reversed by losing weight.
And so can the waste of money. Those health consequences cost the state $24 billion a year in medical care and lost productivity.
So 6 weeks ago, you made a major change.
The Ericksons know their future is brighter if they're lighter, so they entered a weight loss program at Duke.
How would you characterize the type of foods that you're eating now?
Sarah wants to shed between 80 and 100 pounds.
The first 2 weeks, the cravings were the strongest.
Doug wants to lose between 50 and 70.
We hope to someday not be classified in the overweight category.
Good. Step right on there.
Later, we'll check in to see how the Ericksons are doing.
So she gets the snack attack because she's watching TV and seeing all these food ads.
But next, the example we're setting for our state's children.
For the first time in human history, our children are not going to live as long as we do, and that's historic and monumental.
You're watching Focal Point from WRAL News.
The children of overweight people tend to be overweight too. Doctors say there's a cycle there. You've already heard them say it's not just genetic. So what does that say about our future when nearly a third of our state's children are either overweight or well on their way?
Come on.
At 16, Ashley and Amber Anderson lead busy lives. There's school.
What is it about tricksters?
After-school jobs.
Hold on, what's it called?
And they play volleyball in fall and softball in spring.
Maybe life got in the way and it was just easier to stop between activities and stop at a fast food place and get hamburgers and fries and eat them on the way.
And Mom made sure there was plenty to snack on at home.
When our friends would come over, she would go and buy all these little chocolate cakes and everything because our friends like snack food too.
You want some? Their choices at school weren't much better.
We used to buy lunch like every day and it'd be like pizza and fries. Chocolate milk. And chocolate milk, chicken and fries, something with fries.
Eventually, it caught up with them.
We were really overweight and like our body mass, and my body mass index was like off the charts. And like hers was like really, really high too.
I blame myself. Give us, Lord, our daily bread. Amen.
Ashley and Amber's mother has also struggled with her weight. She says she didn't set a good example.
As most Americans, we love to eat. So it was just, I love my fried food. I love my desserts. And if I was going to have them, I couldn't very well sit there and say, you can't have it. We all hit a point where we looked at ourselves in the mirror and said, ooh, we got to do something. This is not good.
Hi, girls. How are you doing?
The girls had high blood pressure and were borderline diabetic.
20 years ago, we didn't diagnose much type 2 diabetes in children, and now it's fairly common. I'm just going to check your eyes, too.
The Anderson twins joined the High Five for Fitness program at Duke Children's Hospital. It treats children under 18 who are overweight or on their way there.
Since it was up today, probably about 80% of those children already have high blood pressure. And we've seen several kids between the age of 4 and 7 months who are already overweight. And what about the activity?
The program promotes good nutrition, exercise, and provides counseling for the psychological scars many of the children have.
We know that they're often bullied. We know that their rates of depression are much higher than their normal weight peers. That makes that time very, very difficult. And you guys are rewarding yourselves?
Parents are involved in the treatment.
One of the best things parents can do for their children is to eat healthy themselves and to change their own behaviors and role model that for their children.
For the first time in history, children have a shorter life expectancy than their parents.
I mean, shouldn't that be enough to just wake people up?
Well, we're talking about cultural change, and it's very ingrained.
Change doesn't come easy in our schools where children spend much of their day. Things like sausage, pizza, corn dogs, and French fries are still on school lunch menus. Why? It's all about money.
It's money versus health for kids.
In many cases, yes.
Why aren't you eating?
That's because the state's child nutrition programs make money off the school lunches they sell. The state says they can't afford to immediately stop selling the most popular items.
We could bankrupt some of the counties if we did that in the nutritional arena.
So the state-required transition to healthier lunches is starting in elementary schools first. Hopes are that as those students move on, the transition will then be easier in middle and high schools.
We believe that we can begin to educate kids over time to make the right choices.
In many schools, kids can still make the choice to buy sugary soft drinks out of vending machines.
Why allow these vendors in the public schools at all?
Well, again, revenue. Unfortunately, education is costly.
Soft drink revenues help pay for things like football uniforms, band instruments, and other extras. But school systems are working with soft drink vendors to provide more sugar-free options. As for exercise, the state says only half of elementary and middle schools are complying with its requirement that students get at least 30 minutes of physical activity a day. Only a few provide more.
We have seen less and less physical education, less time for students to get physical activity time, and primarily that's because of the rigorous academic strains that are put on teachers and students.
Even though there's medical evidence linking physical activity to better academic performance.
Clearly, academics are extremely important, but if your child is not healthy, the academic piece is going to go wanting.
Okay, I'm going to have you touch base with the dietitian again.
Later, we'll check in to see how the Anderson twins are doing in their weight loss program. But next, if the answer is as simple as calories in versus calories out, why are so many of us overweight?
It's really easy to sit there on the couch and eat, but to burn off those few calories that you eat, it's a lot of work.
You're watching Focal Point from WRAL News.
It's hard to imagine that anybody would want to be overweight, and by now, just about everybody knows how to avoid it. But for many of us, it just seems to happen. It's no surprise, though, when you consider our behavior and our environment.
Looking good. I can feel you guys are ready to work out hard today.
It's January 2nd, and a lot of people are trying to live up to the resolutions they made yesterday.
My resolution was to get in shape, get in better shape.
I made a New Year's resolution to lose 30 pounds to get down to 200.
Well, I've got like 5 pounds of cookie weight I need to get off, so.
3, 2, left side.
People see the new year as a renewal of themselves, and they want to take that opportunity to make enormous changes in their lifestyle. What happens is that people make all those changes and it becomes too much for them to continue doing it.
Every year I kind of forget after 3 months why I wanted to do it, and it's easier to eat Bojangles than work out, so.
As a society, we've gotten used to easy.
If you look at the world around us, we've sort of engineered our world to make it harder to get physical activity.
We work at computers, watch TV, play video games. We use moving sidewalks, escalators, and elevators. Many of us take the elevator instead of walking up just one flight of stairs. People circle parking lots and wait for the closest space to open when there are plenty of open spaces just a short walk away. They're missing the chance to burn some extra calories, probably wasting more time and sometimes even holding up others behind them. Then there's the drive-through.
I'll take yours.
And why walk in when we could just sit here and have our food handed to us? Thank you. And what about that food we're being handed?
The Big Twin from Hardee's. 2 for $3.
We're surrounded by cheap and often unhealthy food, and we get bombarded by ads encouraging us to buy it.
There's just grease on the bun.
Just how unhealthy can some of that food be? A nutrition expert gives us the skinny on some fattening fast food, starting with this bacon, egg, and cheese breakfast sandwich.
A large amount of fat and around 500 calories, so not a great way to start your day.
For lunch, it's a 1/3 pound cheeseburger with large fries and an extra large Coke.
This is 1,800 calories for this meal.
Oh my word.
That's more than I need in one day.
1,800 calories.
1,800 calories and 85 grams of fat. The drink alone is about 400 calories. Wow. It really is calories count. I mean, we can count carbs, we can count fat, but really it's calories that matter.
An afternoon snack of a Coke and a pack of nabs is 11 grams of fat and 400 calories. And for dinner, it's delivery pizza.
This pizza, 2 slices of a 14-inch pizza with cheese and pepperoni, is around 600 calories.
The total for this day of eating, about 3,300 calories and about this much artery-clogging fat.
This is over 150 grams of fat. It's over a cup of fat.
Carol gave me that cup of fat as a souvenir. So I keep that container of lard that Carolyn gave me right up here on my computer. And I like to do that so that every time somebody brings something in, say some sort of treat or something like that, I can look at that chunk of fat and realize that might be what I'm eating. What about a chicken dish from a popular Italian chain restaurant?
Chicken marsala seems reasonably healthy.
Sounds healthy. Can be healthy. Until you have 3 chicken breasts in a serving, and a huge serving of potatoes cooked in a lot of olive oil. Then you add a salad with dressing and croutons and a garlic breadstick, and you're looking at a meal that's a little over 1,000 calories.
It's called portion distortion, as people start to think it's normal to eat this much for dinner.
3 chicken breasts is not a normal serving. That's more than really we need.
Every day on the dinner buffet.
And who eats only what they need at an all-you-can-eat buffet? For many, paying a limited price for unlimited food means loading up to get their money's worth.
And we have to think about weighing the difference between getting our money's worth
and taking care of our health, because there sometimes can be two very different things.
So maybe we should purge the urge to splurge on those low buffet rates, split those unfit restaurant plates, and get the kid size if we just have to have the burger and fries.
Having that Big Mac or those fries or even supersizing it once in a while is probably not a big deal. It's when people make that their routine that it becomes a real problem over time.
Calories add up if you don't use them up.
For example, a difference of 100 calories a day that you consume or burn can lead to a weight gain or weight loss of 10 pounds a year.
One glazed donut is around 200 calories, so it's not that terrible if you can just eat one.
But one a day, unless you burn those calories up, can put on an extra 20 pounds a year.
This man right here, this is the donut eating pool right here.
You have to run about 2 miles to burn off a single glazed donut. That means the runners in NC State's annual Krispy Kreme run need to go a lot further than the race's 4 miles to burn off the dozen donuts they eat at the halfway point.
It was a good idea at the time. Not even halfway there.
Little heart monitor says I've burned off 420 calories.
Well, only 2,000 more to go.
Yeah.
Eating less, exercising more may seem simple, but how do we get an entire state to do it?
Everybody really needs to work together to make sure that people understand how important this truly is.
To learn more about the issues covered in this episode of Focal Point, visit WRAL.com and click on News, then Documentaries.
If someone's overweight, it's up to them to do something about it. But what do we do about our entire overweight state? That's a little more complicated.
So move more each day. Your body will thank you.
In 2002, the State Division of Public Health launched a campaign to promote healthy eating and exercise. It's called Eat Smart, Move More.
We're doing our best to get the word out best we can. I think people are starting to catch on.
Hi, can I help you? People definitely get the word from the restaurant industry. It spends tens of millions of dollars a year on television advertising in North Carolina alone.
You live here.
The Eat Smart, Move More campaign has less than $2 million a year to spend on its entire campaign.
Soda, sweet tea, and other sugary drinks are full of calories.
It spent a paltry $136,000 on radio and TV advertising.
How do you compete? It's hard. The fast food industry obviously has a lot more money than we do. So the point is just trying to educate people.
I know. The state school system is at a disadvantage too.
We had $1 million budget in North Carolina to push the appropriate nutrition. The major soft drink industries had hundreds of millions of dollars to push their products.
At least more healthy choices are appearing in school cafeterias. Some say more pressure needs to be put on school systems to make sure students get the required exercise too.
We've got to hold schools accountable in some way, such as we do with test scores, in order to make sure that we provide that physical education and physical activity time for students.
Many people would like to see more school recreational facilities open after school hours so that the public that paid for them can use them.
A big part of being able to be active is having access to facilities to be active.
See you guys.
Some want state and local governments to fund more parks and greenways.
If the state and the communities work together, more of these venues would be available, and I think it would really help the obesity situation.
So would more employers helping to cover the cost of weight loss programs and encouraging healthy lifestyles.
8, 7, come on!
But it really starts with each of us. We can park a little farther away and walk just a little more. We can take the stairs instead of the elevator. We can drink water instead of that supersized soda.
It's the small daily changes that people make that actually make a difference.
Right now you're at a healthy weight.
After about 3 months, Amber Anderson has lost 34 pounds and her sister Ashley lost 26.
You both have math next semester, right?
They cut calories by cutting fat and sugar and eating less.
It's hard sitting there and watching your friends eating the fries and all, but
I mean,
you know it's worth it.
And I think it really helps their self-esteem to know that they can do this, and they are doing this on their own. You're fine.
They've even been role models for their mother. Since the twins started their diet, she has lost 14 pounds.
So they've been good for me too.
Oh, yeah.
The Ericksons went on a low-carb, high-protein diet.
In the past 2 months, we've learned at least 6 ways of cooking eggs that we weren't aware of before.
After 2 months, the carb cravings vanished, and so have some pounds.
I've lost 13 pounds.
Right, and I've lost 16.
And deep breath in and blow it out as fast as you can.
The Ericksons say dieting under a doctor's supervision helped.
You know, I can talk myself out of anything, and so out of a diet's real easy. But if I have to talk a doctor out of me doing a diet, that's a little harder to do because I don't have a good argument.
Come on.
A return to regular exercise is part of their plan.
I want to get out there and do the things that other people do. And I want to, you know, not be, you know, a subject of ridicule because of it. When I can be what I think is a normal size, then all of these things will now be open to me that haven't been open to me for the majority of my life.
It's not hard to live a healthy lifestyle. You just have to want to live the healthy lifestyle.
All it takes are small, steady steps like the ones I've been taking since this program began. In that time, I've burned about 200 calories. It's a lot easier than you might think. And for many of us, it is certainly a step in the right direction.